How organized are you on a daily basis? Do you know what it costs your business? So here's what we're going to talk about today in this lesson. Why your mess is messing up your business, simple ways to improve your organization today, how to create a system that doesn't have to be complex or refined to be able to work, and having tools to reduce energy, time, and money spent on finding information. So let's get started. It's often non-obvious tasks that really make the difference, especially in business. But why is that? How can organization actually give you a winning edge in battle? According to the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, did you notice the quote at the beginning of the lesson? He said, "The secret of all victory lies in the organization of the non-obvious." So let's say you have a flower shop and your competitor's flower shop is just across the street. You both have really amazing flowers and designs. So which flower shop do the customers go to? Do they go in the one that happens to be close by as they're walking past it? Or do they go to that flower shop that consistently has their floors mopped, their countertops are clean and beautiful, and the flower bouquets are put together in a timely manner and beautifully presented, and where the person at the front always greets them by name and waves goodbye to them as they go out the door? You see, most of us assume that all these tasks are a given. We take for granted good customer relationships, to have timely reports, and to have just the basics covered. And it's not accomplished by magic. A good system creates that atmosphere. A good system requires organization. These are the small details that make all the difference. Customers aren't often even aware that they're choosing one business over the other based on how well organized it is. And just one detail falling through the cracks can often be a prospect's deciding factor. I would always tell my team, they won't notice everything that you do right, but they will notice just one thing that you do wrong. So in what ways can you improve organization in your business? Maybe you can just stop this right now, and I'd love for you to stop and write down maybe 3 things that come to mind that could improve organization for you in your business. We tend to think that being organized or building productivity is not creative and not really fun. It's conformist and boring, and we set out as entrepreneurs to escape being boxed in, especially as creatives. Having organization is actually what allows us the freedom to do our best, most creative, amazing work. For example, I want you to imagine that you're attending 2 different events. One workshop, let's see, is extremely well organized, while the other is not. At the extremely well organized event or workshop, you know which room you need to go to and at what time if you get lost. There's always a person there, a volunteer who knows where you're supposed to go. And when you watch the speakers, you have the feeling that they had time to get familiar with the stage long before they ever needed to perform on it. Now, at the unorganized event, you got lost constantly. You can't understand the map, and by the time someone figures out where you need to go, your session is already half over. Even the speakers are frazzled when they're actually delivering their messages. Which event has the most impact on its attendees? When you get the little details right, it allows your brilliance to shine through and create the richest experience imaginable. That's what great organization can do for you. Creating systems for those non-obvious details can free up your business to new opportunities, people, and profits. And it also frees up your mind from the clutter that piles up. Time has a tendency to slip through even the stickiest of fingers. Once you've lost it, you can't gain it back. But by learning to streamline your time, you have more of it. And I'm going to show you how. Note, If you've ever complained about not having enough time, I'm cutting you off until you implement everything that is suggested in this lesson. These are techniques we've often learned in our personal life, but never applied to our business life. Here's an analogy for you. When you come through the front door, do you always put your keys in the same place? If you haven't done it before, you could try it. And if this is already common practice for you, take a moment to consider how much easier it makes your life. Because one, you eliminate time looking for your keys. I've wasted hours looking for my keys before. Has that ever happened to you? And two, you don't waste your time and energy it takes just to have thought, where are my keys? Okay, I went to that restaurant and I was carrying this bag and I know I walked this way. This is complete distraction and eats into your work time. If you put your keys in the same place every day, it eliminates this distraction. This is what I want you to do in your business. For example, build a practice where whenever a client calls, you reach for the same notebook to take notes. In that way, all your client notes are in one spot. Always leave the notebook in your same spot in your office or by the phone or on your workbench, wherever it works for you. Do it until it becomes an automatic reaction. That's a practice you can create. So what are some strategies that you can implement into your everyday life to gain more time? Go ahead. Feel free to stop this and just think about it for a minute and write down some of those strategies. You see, an imperfect system is better than no system at all. Sometimes we can fall into the trap of obsessing on a perfect way to do something that we don't even create that system at all, where we give up on a current system just because it's not the ideal way we envision doing it. Let's look at the previous example of writing all your client notes in one notebook. What if you ended up reaching for the wrong notebook? Or you take a call while sitting in your car and write in a notebook that's meant for your gas mileage? Or what if in the process of building this practice, you end up with 20 different notebooks instead of one? Well, that means you'll waste time searching through all those different notebooks to find notes that you need. And at least you know where they are so that you know where to look. An imperfect system is better than no system at all. You can always improve your system after you put one in place. So for years, I would keep all of my financial documents in one folder with the name of the year on it. And when there's a new year, I just switch to a new folder. I used to think that I was probably screwing things up because I didn't make folders based on the types of documents at first. I just threw them all in the same folder and then changed the folder when that was the new year. Why? Because I thought my documents were a complete mess until I needed to find a copy of my car loan. At first, I was panicked because I didn't know where I'd put it. So I looked in the folder from the year that I bought my car, and guess what? There it was. So it's very easy to stop ourselves from taking any action just because we think we have to come up with the best possible system. Having one folder for the year was good enough for me then. It was much easier to look in that folder marked for the year that I bought my car than a giant stack of documents that just piled up by the filing cabinet. A pile that I didn't touch because either I didn't know what to do with them or just didn't have time to deal with it at all. So I just created a system. And I want you just to create a system yourself. Don't worry that it's imperfect. Stop making the excuse that you don't know what to do. Because now I have a system and more files breaking things down. And I still have a folder where things go into that until they get filed quarterly. And the one folder was my system until I was able to get to the filing. And eventually I was able to hire someone that helped me in my office. Just start somewhere and stay out of the I don't know what to do phase. What would you do if you did know what to do? Let's start now. What are a few areas in your business where you could benefit from a few simple systems? Stop this recording, and I'd love for you just to write some down. A box of receipts is better than throwing away your receipts. A poorly named Google Doc is better than a scrap of paper that you could easily lose. Any system is better than no system, and any place is better than no place at all. As a species, human beings are not built for long-term thinking. We can be brilliant long-term thinkers, but this is not our natural mode as human beings. There are so many things we do that we know were terrible long-time decisions, but are very appealing short-term decisions. We'd rather toss a piece of paper in a drawer or leave it on the floorboards of our car than take 10 seconds to think about where does it go. We're not geared to focus on the long term, and building systems for your business is a long-term goal. We don't like to do it. We think it's difficult and we build all sorts of excuses and resistance to avoid doing it. And you might find yourself saying things like, this is going to take me so long to set up, it's a waste of my time. Or, I know I'm going to take an extra 5 minutes every time I do this, but this is easier. It's just 5 minutes. I don't have to come up with the system. And you know what? Those 5 minutes accumulated over time equals hours of your life that are just wasted simply because you let short-term satisfaction outweigh long-term benefits, even if it takes you all day to put a system in place. It's worth it in the long term. And that's how most systems are. But you have to consciously cultivate the habit of organizing your business. And you have to make a practice of noticing when your mind favors short-term thinking over long-term thinking, because you're going to do it all the time. It's human nature. When working with a team, if you have a piece of information, even a small piece that you aren't sure people need to know, go ahead and share it with your teammates. You don't have to get people's feedback or people's opinion about every piece of information. And you must make sharing as many pieces of information with as many people as possible as your default mode of sharing. Why? Because when people have access to all these pieces, things happen very quickly. Oversharing makes sure that when someone is making a decision, they're not doing it on limited information. They'll make a decision based on the overall vision of the company and where all the team members are at. Now, oversharing doesn't mean oversharing things about maybe personally how you feel about something or something in your personal life. We're talking about oversharing the projects that your team is working on. Having things like a biz binder or Google Docs or public tasks where everybody can see that what everybody else is doing are crucial to getting your business organized and making things happen quickly. I've learned this from experience. Side note, if you don't know what a biz binder is, this is something that I share with my clients in my coaching group and one-on-ones. It's really a good way for you to start having a place where you put all of your information so you know where you can go, and it's definitely built online. Back to the lesson. So here's the question. What are a few pieces of information that you can share with current or even future team members to help strengthen your business? Again, go ahead, take some time and make some notes. You can always stop this. So if you have been frustrated by how long projects take, I would ask yourself, how can I over-communicate? How can I overshare? How can I better organize the pieces of information needed for this project? If your mind is constantly stretched, trying to hold all the pieces together, you can never set aside the focus time that your business craves. So much of getting organized is just getting things out of your head and onto a piece of paper. It's essential for building a team. It's essential to simply track. Keep track of the decisions you've made on a subject. Because when all that information is just in your head, instead of being able to put your brilliance into your business, you're wasting more energy than you realize just trying to keep it all straight. For instance, in the earlier workshop event example I gave you, no one can enjoy the workshop unless all those little details have been taken care of. Your mind can't fully enjoy and fully dig into the time that you have for your areas of brilliance if your brain is always churning in the background, working to keep track of everything. Trying to remember everything you need to do all at the same time is like pulling out the wrong Jenga piece. You carry the fear that the whole thing is just going to come crashing down any minute. It's a terrible, stifling feeling, and it contaminates everything you do. You can't create when you're in the midst of overwhelm. If you feel it's always just one more thing you can never catch up, and it feels like you have more spinning plates than you could ever possibly handle, get systems in place. Get organized. I know it's like a catch-22. You feel like if you take a moment to step back and get organized, all the plates you're juggling are going to fall down. And it is true. You may have to step away from your business for a little bit. You may lose some time. And you're going to spend that time stressing and running around like crazy person anyway, right? I know the more plates you have spinning and the more information you have in your head, the harder it is to step back and to dedicate time to get organized, putting systems in place, and getting all your tasks written out. You have to set aside the focus time that you need and that your business craves. There's no reason to feel like you don't have time to work on your marketing or selling, or you don't have time to update your website. You can get to a place, though, where you no longer feel that way. The point of creating systems is to create a business that you can not only thrive and make money, but you can also be enjoyable to run. Imagine if you actually felt at peace every time you started your workday. When you take time to create peace in your business, the profits follow. You get to overcome your short-term thinking. You get to commit yourself to build these systems because it doesn't just happen overnight. It takes work to build, and it's worth it. In fact, getting organized is the highest leverage activity for increasing the profitability of your business, because there are places where not being organized kills your business. For example, not being organized can stop you from returning phone calls, following up with clients, or cause you to forget to call a good lead for some new business. Or you may even miss an opportunity because you need a press photo of yourself. And instead of having your photos clearly labeled on your computer, you realize your photos are on a USB somewhere in a box in storage. There are opportunities that you're choosing to turn down every single day because you're not organized. Don't invite problems into your business by being disorganized. Don't let your short-term brain say that you don't have time for this. Don't let it say that this is too complicated. It's not too complicated. You have plenty of time for this. I know how hard it can be to put this on your to-do list. You have to make a choice that this is where you're going to focus your time, and I promise you that you will see some amazing results in your business. You can do it. You can create a calm and peaceful business that flies smoothly as a flock of seagulls, where all the parts work together, gliding effortlessly along as opportunities, clients, and profits come your way. That is how your business can feel if you choose it and if you allow it. So I invite you to make that choice in your business and choose peace over chaos and overcome your human tendency for short-term thinking and choose organization. If any of this resonates with you and you'd love to find out more about how to work with me, then I invite you to come set up a call with me. Yep, let's chat. This and more is what my Propel coaching program is all about. You can reach out by clicking the link in the notes. I'd love to talk to you about your business and how you can thrive.